Okay, so welcome. Has it started?
I hit the red. Oh, it's going, sorry.
Oh, it is going? Okay.
Should we start
All right. So welcome back to this week's session, Kim. I'm glad you came back. And so what I'd like to do first is kind of review what we talked about last week. And if I, at any time, am not rephrasing what we talked about last week, let me know, and we'll cover what should be covered.
Okay.
Anyway, so if my memory serves me right, you talked about your grandparents, your concerns with your grandparents are not spending the time they should with your children, and that you, in a way, feel that that is, you're taking on a responsibility for that yourself. You kind of feel that that. My thought is that you're feeling that that is your fault because, in a way, I don't know, does that make sense to you?
Yes, and it was, yeah, because it's my, it's our kids' grandparents, yeah. And so then, and it's, I think it'd be different if they were my parents. I mean, I've tried to talk with them, but they're my husband's parents. So I don't really have that much of a relationship with them, so. But yeah, and I take it on that I'm being negative about it. So it helped. I thought about some things since we talked last week about maybe I can change how I look at things, maybe.
Can you share a little bit about what you were thinking about over the week? Or?
Well, just maybe, my husband always says, and he said, just accept the way things are. He goes, you can't change them, they're not gonna change. But see, again, that's what's so hard for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that they could change a little. I think everyone could change a little bit. How's that? Is that selfish to want that?
No, so you're talking about change. How do you see change?
Well, just maybe be a little more involved on their end. They really, it's just there's younger cousins, and when they're around, that's all. I mean, they can all be, they see the younger ones all the time, which is, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not, because, I mean, totally get it. I mean, they have a different relationship. His younger sister they have many issues, her and her husband, and so I totally understand it. But it's just they see these other, I mean, it's not just our kids, it's the other two sets of kids too. And when they're together, they still just really dote on the younger ones. And I know they're younger, and again, I'm not jealous, it's just frustrating because when they were, if they would have doted on ours when they were younger too, but they didn't. They were always just it was almost like a bother to them. And it's just funny how they just, I'm glad they're really good to the other kids.
Yeah.
I just wish they'd just at least show anything to our kids. Like, our son was he was in football. They never came to anything when they actually moved down to the lower 40, and they never came. And then, which is okay, and Grandpa's really into football. So, and I understand they don't come to our kids' musical things and stuff. The girls are very active, but Grandma always makes the comment about that their only grandchildren are the younger ones that will be in sports. And I'm like, Zach was in football. And she's like, oh, I forgot about that. Or our girls are blessed very much with their musical talent, and they do use it, and I'm glad. And Grandma only talks about the youngest granddaughter, but she plays a little piano, and she can toot on her clarinet, but she gave up on that because there's a lot of spin on that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just those little things, and I know I need to change my perspective, but I think they could just change a little bit too.
Yeah.
Maybe meet halfway.
So I know in our last session as well, you talked about your relationship with the in-laws is about a 5 static.
Yeah.
So what is keeping it from being a 0?
Sorry. I don't know. I just don't know if I just don't think we see eye to eye. I don't know. I just not gonna.
Well, let's flip it around to the other way.
I really wish I could just change my mind and just be nicer about it. Okay, go ahead. Tell me. Flip me.
Let's go to the other side. What's keeping it from being a 10 If it's at 5 now, what could happen to make it a 10?
I, if we both could just work on treating everyone fairly, or even if not even fairly, just a little bit. But again, it could be a 10 by me just accepting it and letting them keep going on, and then having some peace, some peace of mind for myself. Maybe could do it, and and that's what I think it's come to. That I'm just gonna have to accept it because my husband's tried it. He did. Okay, I said I don't have the, but he has tried to talk to his parents, and it's like they just don't get it, and they're very educated, and I don't get it. I don't know if they think because they have two stable mentally health children or parents of their kids, or the youngest one, there's a lot of issues there. When I say issues, I mean issues, and I don't know if that's why they think they have to take on almost on the role of like parents. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. So maybe it's okay. Our kids know we're there for them.
Mm-hmm. So going back a little bit, you said there's some issues. Can you talk a little bit about the issues going on?
I mean, for the sister has?
Yes. Is that what you know, the sisters or the in-laws?
The sister-in-law, yeah. See, that's the one that she's got the two kids.
Okay.
That Grandma and Grandpa Dota.
Okay.
Well, okay, and then I'll first tell you, and this is just like the goofiest thing. I think we talked about it the last time. Grandma broke her ankle. When we were there, we were all there for a holiday.
Yes.
Everyone was around. And so my husband and I and the kids stopped to get flowers to give from all the grandkids before we all went home. And we gave the youngest girl, Grandma's favorite, to give the flowers, but that's not, I mean, it's from all of them, But then in the meanwhile, her brother spilled the water all over Grandma in the bed. And now, if that would have been our oldest one, he was the oldest grandson, Grandpa would have took him out of there and beat him silly, I think. And this one, he just laughed about it. It's just very frustrating. So those are. And, his sister had an accident when she was 16. She got hit by a bike, and she was in a coma for 2 months. So they didn't think she was going to make it, but she did. And since then, she just hasn't been. It took her a while to get through college, and then she got married, got divorced. She was seeing that the FBI was. She ended up at her pastor's house in her wedding dress, which was 10 miles away. She walked to his house. She thought the FBI was hovering above her house looking for drugs because her husband must have been doing drugs.
Okay.
And they just did a lot of, and now she got remarried, and we kind of said maybe it's not time, but it wasn't our place, and Grandma said, "Oh, he's such a good guy. He met the family all at one time," and he was related to the Langs. It's a long story again, but
so it sounds like
it's just
there's just
frustrating things.
some mental health issues.
Yeah. So if we would do that stuff, we would get yelled at.
Right.
And I yeah. So yes, there's a lot of mental health issues. So I take it. I understand. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
No, go ahead. I apologize. That was rude.
Going back to what you had said earlier, you kind of in a way, roundabout way, said that you felt that it was your fault. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're thinking that way?
See, and that might be wrong too, my perspective. But I don't, maybe they don't like me, and so they take it out on the kids. Joel says he's never been the favorite. I think we talked about that. And again, he doesn't believe in the favoritism. That's why I just tell him, I go, I probably will pass away before you, I said, and if I hear, how will I hear if I told him, I go, you better not play favorites with the kids, because I've told each one of our children, if they play favorites, they can slap you up silly. You are going to play no favorites, and you're going to do the same thing for every child. And he just looks at me. He just said he wasn't, and I don't know, and he says that's just how he was always not, and so they just probably kind of reflected on them. And sometimes I think, because the second brother, they introduced his wife to that brother, and they love her, and the third brother, that was his mom's favorite always, and they love his wife, and then the daughter's the fourth, and they've always doted on her because she's the favorite for both.
Mhm.
And then Joel got me. Even the only one who's got a K for a first name. The rest are all, their last name is L,
Oh, okay.
and they're all L's, and they're all J's.
Huh.
Every one of them. I'm the only K. So it's always this weird stuff that I just don't fit, like on the Sesame Street song.
So you feel like you don't fit in?
Yeah, right. It's one of these things don't belong. So then I don't want them to take it, if they're not happy with me, don't take it on my kids, you know, I don't know, is that wrong? Maybe, again, it's perspective probably.
So you feel that your relationship with your in-laws and you, I'm trying to think of the right word to say, you think the relationship with you and how you're feeling that it may be your fault is kind of influencing how your in-laws relate to your children? I mean, do you think it's more the relationship between you two than it is between your grandchildren?
Yeah, it could be like a trickle effect, you know.
Mhm.
You know, maybe, and my kids aren't perfect. I've never said I have perfect children. They're very blessed. They've done a lot of neat things, and they just don't even care, you know. So and so again, like I said, I've been working, and last week put some things made me see that I just gonna have to just understand and just breathe a lot. How's that?
That's the first step. I mean, so next week is Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Is the in-laws coming?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That was the thing. Holidays were always easy because when they were in Alaska, we didn't see them, you know, for holidays or anything. And so my parents passed away young, so I always kind of took my brothers under my wing, you know. And the one wasn't around anyway, but he's in the area again too. So we always, and the one hunts, so it was just the two, but we always made sure that they were here we'd get together for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I'd go by them and make sure they could, you know, it was just important for me to do that.
Mhm.
And then when they moved down, we were kind of expected to change all our stuff. So we would go down, and my family then had to do their own, the two had to find their own thing to do, and they were okay with it.
Mhm.
But sorry. So we did that for several years, and then 2 years ago, Joel says, "No, we can do it where we can do Thanksgiving with your family again, and then we can go down the next day to visit my parents." Because the other sibling that would come would be from Michigan, and they don't always come. They
Okay.
sometimes go to her family, or sometimes they don't come. Like this year, they're not coming again because their second child's in college, and he lives far away, and when he comes home for Thanksgiving, they just want to stay put. And I totally respect that, you know. So it's been kind of nice, but I think I don't know if they felt like they were kind of being left out. I don't know. They never said anything, but I always hope the in-laws, again, the favorite daughter's in-laws, were inviting them because they had.
Mhm.
But this year, I said to my husband, "You'd have been proud of me." I kept bugging him, "Please invite your mom and dad." "No, I'm not going to do it." He goes, "You're just going to get stressed." I said, "No, just ask them." I go, "They're probably not even going to come. They won't. They're going to say no anyway, or they're going to say they have something to do." Well, he said no. He didn't. He goes, "Why don't you call?" I go, "I'm not going to call. They're your parents. You know, when I call them, they don't say much anyway."
Mhm.
So then all of a sudden he must have felt guilty, and he called, and they said they would come. So he goes, "See, that's what you get now." And he could tell. But I did try. I'm trying to put out the olive branch.
Oh, well, I like that you've taken some steps to try to resolve the conflict issues by inviting them to Thanksgiving. That's a good step towards coming closer together and having harmony within the family.
So I tried. Yeah. I just hope it's gonna go. My family is such rednecks, and they get together, but it's just they're kind of funny together, you know. It's just so it should be interesting dynamics. And I'm not telling our oldest son that they're coming for dinner till they show up, because that may not be very good.
Sure.
I'm not. I just want to get through the morning cooking quietly, because they like my brothers. My brothers are really good uncles. They're very funny to
Right.
them. We play the awkward family photo game,
Okay.
and they get kind of risque with it. It's kind of funny.
Well,
Not risque either. It's just goofy stuff that
Mhm.
Grandma and Grandpa would probably be like,